Hello Capricorn, welcome back to my channel, The Vibes Inside. I am Mariana and I'm getting ready here to do your reading, Capricorn. I feel like something rather big is happening with your energy. I don't know why I'm supposed to bring this up, but well, I've mentioned it before that I follow an astrologer. He's called Adam Ellenbash, and he's on YouTube. I think he's quite good and very knowledgeable within astrology, different kinds of astrology. And I must go along with this just a moment. There, okay. He just recently posted, I saw it in my feed, I haven't seen the video yet, but he put up a video that said Saturn is dying. And then, a prospect for all 12 zodiac signs. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know what's in there. And of course, he is touching upon every zodiac sign, so depending on what you are. But if you're a Capricorn, I think I should tell you to watch it. Adam Ellenbash, Astrology, YouTube. The one called Saturn is Dying. Because you're ruled by Saturn. So maybe there's something in what he can tell you as well as maybe what I can tell you here. I don't know. I haven't listened to it yet. So I don't even know what's in there. I just feel like I should bring it up. So I feel that for Capricorns, this could be quite a confusing time. I feel this inside me as well. I'm a Capricorn rising. That something is urging me to change or accept something else or tolerate something else. Go where I haven't gone before, trust in something I would never have trusted in before. And I've said before about Capricorn that Capricorn, it is the darkest time of the year. It is a time where it is, at least in the upper hemisphere, it's very cold, it's dark. It's dark for many hours. There's only little daylight, and in that daylight, it's like you have to really become very structured and very organized and get your stuff done, and take immediate and accurate and enough action, and if you don't get back in time, you could freeze to death. That's kind of, you would see how we would see Capricorn in old times where we didn't have electrical light and everything. It was that there's a time to work, and then there's a time not to. Then there's a time to plan and rest and, get strategic or educate yourself or something like that. But when you take action out there, it must be very, precise and very direct, because otherwise you are up against an element here, the winter, that is unnegotiable, right? And this actually pretty much tells the story about Capricorn. It's like the Capricorn is a devil card in tarot. And this is not a fun thing. It's like being controlled or domineered by something in your life that has such a tremendous power over you. Like you can't, yeah, like you have to get to know this enemy, you could say. You have to get to know this environment or this pressure. It's the only way. You have to somehow adapt to it, learn to adapt to it, learn to work around it or fit somehow with it, even though it may change you, even though you see yourself do things that are like so out of character if you should actually be true to your core. And in this round of readings and the last round also, I talked about autonomy. I talked about building this integrity, this, like this authentic version of yourself. And what I feel like is happening, could be happening, or you may feel you're influenced by, it's like peeling off this mask. Peeling off this mask that you have built to sustain yourself in situations that have been very, very, very bad for you. This is kind of my own journey, like peeling off this masculine mask that I have adapted to have. And it has helped me in some way, but it never allowed me to actually, get out of my problems. I was still in them. Like I just somehow I became a magnet to that. When I left my childhood home, it's like I somehow found myself in some of these dynamics. As I said before, it's like unconsciously we sometimes choose the familiar over the good, or the familiar over what is healthy or sound or good for us. We may choose toxic but familiar environments over new but unfamiliar and healthy environments. And this is actually what I feel like Capricorn could be facing at the moment, that you may realize that some of the goals you have worked towards were false, right? Or that some of the things you have adapted to, and you may still be in it, like a marriage or a relationship or a workplace or something, that you're still in it and feeling confused because it's like this mask or this entire existence that you have grown into or developed or adapted to, this programming you have taken in, this design you have become, is not real, or it cannot sustain itself. Like it has to be, be pulled apart and reassembled again. But now without the pressure, like without this environment, without the winter, without the cold winter. So instead of staying in the winter and surviving there, I should become a nomad. I should move. I should move to a warmer place, right? Why am I staying in a winter where if I could go somewhere else? But if you've never been told that there are places on earth that are warmer, with more food and more daylight, then you probably just stay where you are. If you believe the entire globe is all winter, it's all filled with frost and ice, you wouldn't move. But I just said it in the beginning, at least in the upper hemisphere it's winter. But somewhere else on earth it's not. We know there are places on Earth where there actually are no winter. Like the climate is different. So why stay in an environment if you could go somewhere else? But if you never knew, and this is what the devil talks about, it's like a voice that tells you there is no other choice. There is only this. There is only you and me. There is no way out. There is no second choice or nowhere else to go. But actually there is. You could leave. But this has become, you may be born in this environment. This has become familiar. And this is an interesting thing because children, generations, they may stay in the same kind of vibe and environment, and it's toxic, it's low vibrational, it's power dynamic, it's unhealthy. But generations again and again, they choose it. Like they choose to stay. They choose to be in something that is extremely tough and hard to survive in. But it's all they know. So getting to a place of peace, warmth, comfort, it almost feels like a surrealistic. It feels like a world that is not at all familiar. It feels like if you have never ever felt like that in your life, the embrace, the welcoming new smiles, the hugs, the warm bed, the nice, good prepared food, the sunshine always outside of your door. You never freeze. There is never a limited amount of food, It must feel a bit like entering heaven or something. But again, it also becomes almost too much, like too big of a change, so we almost can't align ourselves with it. Like two big shifts. And if you haven't seen the film called what is something like the Snow Community or something on Netflix, if you haven't seen that, about a plane crash in the frosty mountains. This is a picture of this, like coming back. It's like if you have dealt with something. I feel like Capricorn are actually dealing with post-traumatic stress, whether they know it or not. They are usually, like, their entire life is something like this. It's something like being involved in something. It's just so difficult, so hard and so difficult, and you get threatened to your bones, like your core. It invades, it creeps in on you, and you can't seem to escape it. This constant cold. It is you think about it every morning when you wake up, and the fireplace, it has gone out. You have to, make it going again. It's an awareness that something is there, and it has creeped in on you. It has a stronghold on you that there's no minute of your day where you're not thinking about it, where it's not somewhere unconsciously, consciously, somehow poking at you. It's like there's something that is constantly poking at you. And you can't seem to just, release it, and because it's always there. Like living in old times and living with constant, tough, hard snow winters. That is your life. living in a cave or living in a house, and you know it's the only thing that protects you. You have no other. You have to go out and get your firewood. But you see, if this is your life, the daylight is used to get just primal sustainability. It's primal things like warmth, that your shelter, your house is okay. It can sustain the night, the next night, and the next night. It's about food, that you get food, right? But you see, it lowers down to such a minimum of life, you could say. Like, it's difficult to laugh here. It's difficult to thrive here and blossom. It's difficult to sing and dance and be happy, because there's this constant thing that is pressuring on you. That's how I see Capricorn energy. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I get it. Like, I'm pretty sure most Capricorns, because they do adapt. They do adapt to this kind of life somehow. They can even get to a point that they almost laugh about it. Like, it's so crazy. It's so unwelcoming. It's so terrible that they can almost get to a point where they laugh at it. That it's so crazy. But the point is that they're not moving. Like, they stay there. And maybe this is what is happening right now, that there is a question mark, I feel like, coming in for Capricorns, whether what they are doing, what they are in. Because you see, you play a ping pong with the winter and the tough times when you engage with it. When you engage with tough times, winter, the tough life, primal survival instincts, you play that game with something that is so big and has such a pressure on you that you can only bow to it. There is no other way. You have to adapt. You have to change. You cannot stay like the infant little child. You have to grow up fast. You have to adapt. You have to become capable in this life. You have to learn, right? And adapt and get to know this big enemy or threat of yours here. That's the only way you can survive. But you see, it all comes down to survival. It all comes down to this enormous pressure that I am pretty sure it's also a financial pressure in this world we live in, which is controlled by the coin. So of course it's about money also. And I feel something is changing about this. Like the dynamic, this pressure that Saturn can put on people who have Capricorn strong in their chart. This is maybe lifting, or something is changing with it. Or you are figuring something out. I noticed something when I put out the cards here. At first I put it here, and then for some reason I felt I should move it a little bit. But what happens when I do that, it's like there's this glare from my light, from my candle here, that comes in. It's almost like from being a position where there was no way out, you know. Suddenly there is this path here, or a light at the end of the tunnel, you know, that it's showing itself. But for a long, long time, you've just been in the tunnel. There was no way out. There was no escape door. You were in the tunnel. You were in this with something, and there was no escape. And for some reason, when I did this, it was like this glare that came in. It felt like this light at the end of the tunnel, that something seems like it's coming to an end, or like you can see the the door out, or you can see the end of this tunnel, this enormous long tunnel you've been in, where there was no escape. You had no way. The only way was through, you could say, but never knowing if it would ever stop, you know. There was no other way. You had to just continue within this frame. Within this frame, this pressure, you just had to continue, not knowing if it ever ends. But it feels like it could be ending, right? That there's something here. So I'm interested in what this is that is seeming like it gets. This can also talk like an epiphany, that it's like suddenly you see the light of something, a light bulb comes up, a plan, an understanding, a new idea, an escape plan, you know, or something like that. Or help. Like this could be the light, you know, the voice of an inner calling. That you know, like someone is offering you a lantern. Someone is offering you a like, come over here to me, right? Move towards the light. Again, this can even talk about death, right? That we know from near-death experiences and so on, people talk about that, like dying is like this calling towards the light. That something is, that when you enter out of this world, the soul is called to the light, you know, something like that. But let's have a look at what this is. 8 of Cups. 8 of Cups is walking away from something you have been very much invested in, something you've loved very much and dearly, something you put all your effort in. You invested everything you had for it. But 8 of Cups is realizing, I can't stay. I have to go. I have to go somewhere else. And it's interesting how we see this big moon in the background. Like there could be a calling towards the moon. Like you walk away from something and you walk towards the moon. Maybe you should look up your moon sign. Because the moon could suggest that this is it. It's even in the same corner, right? That something is calling you here. From a position where the moon was not there or you had no connection to it. Like you have to walk away from something to face your moon, or you listen to your moon. The moon, I feel like the moon is like it's like a soul song. The moon is usually, sometimes it's called, it refers to the inner child. It can refer to shadow, something that we have left behind or we are not acknowledging about ourselves because it's considered unworthy or useless or not loved, not appreciated, not. I feel like someone could be called here into shadow work, into looking at their shadow, what they left behind, because that I feel like Capricorn, it always comes with a your life always comes with a sacrifice. I feel like Capricorns grow up way too fast. There is something about childhood, I think here, something about never having been a child, never having felt safe to be a child, and just expressing yourself like who you are. And there is a need to let your adult, you could say, existence, that you have to walk away from something to explore something here. I feel like it's like you're called to it. You're called to it, right? And it means that you could be realizing something about the relationships you've been in here, people you've loved. Some are still let's have a look. A few are still standing, some are tipped over, right? And you know that this is a card where we give up in love connections. We can't stay. We have to go. Or leave, leave a scenario behind, something you've invested in wholeheartedly. Again, if this is for your survival, where we do invest in it for our survival even. But there is something here that I feel like you are called towards. Again, he's looking towards this moon, moving towards it. It's like he has to leave. He has to go. As I said, it's like Saturn is dying. It's almost like, being called to retire, being called to, as I said, walk towards the light. Let something about your life transform or change, or again, it could be that you're realizing how your life has been directed by something quite shadowy here, right? That your life has been ruled, as I said, your Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. How you have been ruled by something, not at all thinking there was a way out, but I feel like you are almost given one, or asked to pursue something here, go towards something, trust something, and in that process you leave something behind that you may have been like really intertwined with, even enmeshed in and entangled in, or marriage, something like maybe like I would say for Capricorn, I would say contract, love contract here, like contracts that bind you in your heart somehow. Because I think Saturn is very much about ties, contracts, karma. It's difficult. It's a difficult journey to work with Capricorn and get to know these constant bump in the road. Capricorns are tough. Like, they're very tough people. They have seen the worst of the worst. They're tough. They have adapted. They are strong. And when they figure out that they have a way out, they become a bit like rebels, right? They leave everything. This also suggests that everything you knew, everything you grew up with, everything familiar, that you get prepared to say goodbye to it. It has to die. This connection that you may have been in here, working for, being totally like enmeshed in, and you believed in it. Like you thought the stories were right. You believed everything you've learned here. That you walk away from it. It's time to let this game stop, right? Why am I like playing in a game if I could go somewhere else? But you see, to know, it's this idea to even know that you could go somewhere else. Capricorn can be in this understanding that there is no other way. There is only this plan. Only this plan. And now it's like you're given another. Something you never thought could be possible. But it's like you can't not see it. That's what I feel like spiritual awakenings are. It's like when you are given this epiphany or this understanding, maybe an offer of some kind, or a call. You hear a call towards something. It's like you cannot not see it. Like before you only saw one road ahead. And now it's like you're given another choice, and it could be confusing, right? Because it's very unfamiliar. It's something you've never thought could be possible, perhaps. And sticking to the well-known route would be maybe be more, I wouldn't say comfortable, but because with Saturn it never is, but it's familiar. And you are equipped to deal with it. And this new route, this is suggesting like a totally new path. And there is this: are you going there? Even though it may take you through your worst shadows, will you choose it? This is in the center, so this could be currently happening. It's like you're given a way out, an exit, but you will be taken through all your fears, perhaps. Moon here. All your fears, all your adaptations to these very difficult situations you've been in. And when you're facing that, you're also realizing that you change yourself and how to adapt to that. Please have a look. If you haven't seen the Snow Community on Netflix, have a look at this. Because here, these young people who survive in this extremely tough environment in the snowy mountains with nothing, ending up eating their dead passengers from the plane crash. Like they abandoned all ideals. They abandoned everything they knew about themselves, what they identified with. They annihilated everything human, you could say. They crossed over. Like they crossed over a boundary, you could say, for human behavior. And they are living with that. Still today, 50 years after this plane crash, they still live with this choice. This is exactly what I feel like this card is about. You, when you walk towards this, you will be facing how you changed. That this environment changed you into something almost unrecognizable of what you were once, what you were. That you're not the same. And you don't know if you can ever be the same, if you can ever. What happened here? What happened here? Like this could be an abusive relationship, right? When you entered into it, maybe you were quite a happy person. You were quite happy. But something changed, right? It may became an abusive relationship. And in that process, you adapted. You saw yourself, perhaps, like defending this other person, even though you know they hurt you. You stuck with them. right? Maybe you stuck with them because you knew they were wounded, that they couldn't help it, that they couldn't help their behavior, that you were actually sorry for them, but you still stayed there, right? And now it's like, why am I staying in something that never changes? No matter how much compassion I can have for this person, they're not staying. My love cannot change them. My devotion, my love, my friendship, it's not changing anything. Why am I staying in something that is hurting me? And the moon will show you why. So walking away towards this moon is a totally different journey, and it will take you through all your fears, or everything, all the stories, all the narratives, all the reasons why you did this. This can also be like the wake-up call here, that you are facing exactly what those young people did in the plane, that they had crossed over a boundary of human behavior, and they are now living with that knowledge that they actually did that. It was the only way to survive. There was no other. Otherwise, they would die. There was no other way. They were in the mountains for, I think it was 40 days or something like that. It's remarkable that they could even survive. But the way they survived, like when you tell a story to someone at home about this, they will not understand. They may even judge you. And what also happened on this 40 days in the snow was that the jolly happy people they were, from good, solid, beautiful, loving homes, who were having fun and teasing each other, and it was all friendly and good and kind and jolly and fine. All this jolliness, all this joy, all this health, all this beauty, it disappeared. Like their pure existence got reduced into this primal survival mode. They barely existed. There is no joy in this life. It's a very serious matter. There's nothing to laugh about. There's nothing to celebrate. Everything is tough and hard and difficult. There is no laughter or clapping. There is no dance. There are no victories. There is no triumph. There is only loss and lack and darkness and density and heaviness. If you have been in something like that, being faced with like over jolliness, all the flags waving when they were rescued and got home, it's like it's a world that you can't really align. It's too far away, right? It's too far away from your current state of being. They were so happy that they survived their sons, their friends, They were so happy they survived, that they got home. And they wanted to embrace them, and just make their favorite food and the warm bed and the nice good shelter. But this made a mark on their soul. It made a mark on life and what life is. it's like a post-traumatic stress, right? That when you come back into, it's like when they were in the snow, the first time they decided to eat one of their dead co-passengers, it was a very big deal. Like they almost, like everything in them was second guessing everything. It was nausea. Like it was a necessity to eat, but it's, everything in them turned. It had to turn and change. Otherwise, you can't allow yourself to eat another human like that. You cross a line, right? And it's like, as long as they were in the snow, as long as there were dead co-passengers that they could eat from, it almost got normal, After they've like turned themselves into something else. Then they could easier accept what they were doing, right? Disregarding that this is not normal, right? It became somewhat normal. And then they were rescued, they got back. And this idea of getting back, of course, it was great. They were rescued, they got back, they survived. They have lived more than 50 years, most of them. They got into treatment programs. Some had frost injuries and everything. Very dehydrated, all this stuff. And of course, they needed to get treated for some of this. But then there's this after experience. An after experience of something here. That this mark or this stain, this choice you made that rendered you, I want to say, non-human. It's like entering a state where you are more animal than you are human. You see, it's primal survival. Like all your human ideals, believe in God, and all the things you grew up with, what a decent human being is. You can, like, in that kind of environment, you can't use it. It's obsolete. Like, you have to shove it away and adapt and get to know your enemy, get to know what you're in. You become almost more animalistic again. It's like, and do you get my point? Like it's that feeling. It's like someone is realizing something here about a dynamic that they could have been in, and they need to leave. Because this is rendering me in a low vibrational state. I am not me here, right? I have adapted, but I'm not me. This is not me, right? If I stay here, I will be turned. I will be turned into something that maybe I have even been turned, but now I see it. I see it now, right? I see. It shines right on it, right? I see it now. I see how I have, like the choices I've made in this environment. I see how I have acted in this environment, and that it actually goes against everything that I am internally. So if I somehow want to find my autonomy, if I somehow want to be true to my core, if I somehow have to redeem myself, then I have to leave. And when I leave, I will be facing, my descent, I want to say. Descent into almost non-human form, like descending into a more animalistically instinct-driven version of yourself. And this is like the moon could be exactly that suddenly you know what this was, what you did in this environment, how it shaped you to do something here, abandon yourself, annihilate a crucial part of yourself. And you were willing to do that due to some kind of extreme pressure, perhaps to survive, but now living with maybe the regret or the remorse of something. And it's like you can go back, like you can erase it, like it's there somehow. It's a stain in your memory. It's this thorn in your eye that you can't get rid of. You have to live with it. You have to understand and maybe forgive yourself. And the entire circumstance, the entire scenario, you have to forgive yourself in it. That it, like you just tried to survive there. But it changed you. You became something else. You acted differently, you spoke differently. Again, you may have adaptive viewpoints that were not even your own. You may have punished people. Even, corrected or punished your own children. But when you look at it now, you see how forced you were. It's like you were forced by a hand that directed you. Something like that. Water, you were forced because of water, because you loved them. It's also cups here. So there is a love connection or a codependency connection. There are emotions here that have been driving this situation. The situation have been driven by some very particular emotions or even instincts, a particular consciousness here. And it has been very locked in. As I said, it's like being in a tunnel with something. There's no way out. There's no escape from this planet, which is all, frozen, for instance. Having that consciousness, there is no way out. There is only here and now. So somehow I have to adapt to it. But what if there was a way out, right? But you have never been given that before. You've never thought about it, or you never allowed yourself to think that there could be a way out. You never saw it. You never, this is a consciousness level. As I said, it's the devil card. It's like being under some kind of pressure that it pushes you to stay in a frequency level. It doesn't allow you to think outside of the box. There are no fairy tales here. You know, in this environment, there are no angels that could come and help you. No Superman, no rescuer, no unicorns, nothing like that. It doesn't exist. There is no way out. You're trapped. It's a prison. You're in here forever. It's a never-ending prison, right? That is how it could feel. And you see, this descending I talked about, this consciousness level, that you are a human, but you have acted non-human. You have acted like a cannibal, which is not what we consider civilized human behavior. So it's like you have acted more like an animal, or something that crosses the line in some way. I can give an example. When I was quite young, I had an abortion. I got pregnant. It was stupid. It was not a partner. I barely knew him. And I realized after around 8 weeks or so that I have gotten pregnant. And at that time I had ended the relationship because I got to know more about him and I didn't feel safe with him. So I ended the relationship, and suddenly I was standing there and I was pregnant. And I come from a family where, well, I was supposed to be in a certain way. I was supposed to be a very reasonable and very logical and very responsible young woman. And I got an abortion out of fear of what my family would say, how they would judge me, how they would stigmatize me, even abandon me, throw me out. It was a secret. I didn't tell anyone until many, many years later. And of course I've processed this experience like this, right? I've processed it. In the moment where I realized I got pregnant, I felt like this. I felt there is no way out of this. Only if I keep it a secret. But you see, I did something. I did something that now where I have peeled off the layers, I have questioned myself, I have done the shadow work, I have faced fears, I have faced some of the decisions I've made during my life. I know that this would never have been in alignment with my true core. But it happened. I can't really go back and change that decision. It's a decision that I've made, and there is no excuse. There is no... It just tells me that the influence of other people, especially if, let's say, you have a core that is watery, let's say you have water in your chart, right? That you have Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, that you're dealing with, you have Capricorn and you have water, that deep down, the decision I made was terrible. And then later on in my life, I did have one son in a natural way, but I had a lot of miscarriages. And along the way, I felt it was like I was punished. I felt again this voice inside me that I hadn't dealt with my own bad decision. I could actually not quite forgive myself. In the moment, it took my problem away, right? But later on, when I actually did meet my boyfriend, he became my husband, and we wanted children, then suddenly I was facing, almost what I felt like the punishment of an earlier decision I've made. And I had a very hard time dealing with that. At that point, it was difficult for me because I couldn't undo the choice, right? I couldn't undo that choice. I couldn't bring that child back to life. I couldn't become mother of that child. And if I would have, if I had the guts to go up against my family, all this judgment that was there, and the potential annihilation, the potential outcast or cast away, that I was suddenly alone on my own 2 feet, needing to take care of myself and this baby coming. But it was like it wasn't even an option for me. I didn't feel strong enough to do that. That is how much this pressure feels like for Capricorn. Like it takes almost your free will away. It becomes so dominant, so controlling, that it's like eventually you're yielding to it. Eventually, you may have tried to put up a fight. Like these young people in the flight, they did that. For a long time, they were arguing with each other. Some of them were Catholic, like it goes against everything they know, right? But they became more and more hungry. They were starving. They were dehydrated. Eventually, they bowed to this. They saw themselves make this decision, take the first bite. Swallowing it and knowing they have crossed the line. That is what this is about. Knowing you've crossed the line and there is something to... Because there are only 2 choices. If you want to live, you do this terrible thing. You cross the line. Or you die. That is the option for Capricorn. There are no other options. There is no way out, as I said. You die and you hold your principles intact. So you die with integrity, you could say. Or you live, but the way you live is with the sacrifice of your integrity, autonomy, free will, and whatever you had of authenticity. This gets wiped out. And from that way forward, you live and bow to this massive, pressure. It's the only way to survive. So it depends on whether you want to survive or you want to die with your principles intact. That is what this is about. So it's something about what we are willing to do to survive. What we are actually willing to do to survive. under an enormous amount of pressure. A pressure that you have no way of fighting. And slowly and surely you're realizing this. And in that process of becoming like where you see that your power is dimming and dimming and dimming, you have no more armor. You have no way to fight this. The way this defeat declines you into bowing and submission, that is Capricorn energy. That is what Capricorn is constantly up against. And some will be able to navigate this and get through with some kind of integrity in place, and some bow. They end up giving up all their power. And it means that you are utterly and totally in the hands of something else. They can control you, steer you, direct you. You have no way of opposing it. There is no, there is no saying no. Maybe once there were, once you may have said no, but then slowly but surely it drains every life force out of you. And then you have no choice left. You can die or you can submit yourself, and that's why we talk about the devil. It's like when you cross this line, it's like you have made a contract with the devil. The devil becomes the puppeteer and you are now the puppet. No free will. This is what I feel like someone could be facing here. Something like that. What consciousness controls this environment? How locked in it is, and there is no way out. There is no escape. There is no escaping hell. I get transformation in the crown position here, which is a very beautiful thing because you are trying to figure out how to transmute and change something here. As I said, this contract or this feeling that you have somehow bowed to something, understanding the reason why you did it, and living with that choice, that you made a choice, that it was worth surviving. For some reason, the wish to survive was stronger than upholding your ideals. So why was it more important to survive and be in this terrible environment? Well, maybe because you had a child there. You had to be a parent for them. Or, that there can be a cause here. A reason that you had to keep your bloodline going for some reason. That there was a deeper underlying understanding that I have to make my bloodline going by all means, even though I do this. Or I have responsibilities somewhere. And because of that, or you are committed to a specific thing or mission or goal in your life, And this makes it worth the while, even though you give up everything that you have actually. You give up your own will. You are now bound to something. And the only way you can unbind yourself or cut this tie is to go through a transformation where you are like figuring out how to, as I said, forgive yourself for what you needed to do to survive. I get a feeling there's something you feel responsible. Like it's like you're responsible of surviving. You're supposed to survive something. There is a responsibility, like a goal in the future. And because of that, I need to survive, even though I now do this. And even though it goes against all my principles, I abandon myself when I do this. It's like erasing a part of you, because it cannot, like, you cannot be a virtuous Catholic and a cannibal, a cannibal at the same time. It's like you have to erase or set aside, dim or forget about, let go of a certain kind of existence, because in this environment it's not doable. There's not even a church here. There's barely the ability to live here. How can I be concerned about religion or fashion or, things like that? Surviving is a serious matter. I barely survive here. There's nothing here that sustains me. Nothing. No sustainability for me here, but I'm in it. I'm here. And I can't leave. So, if you stay in an environment like that, again, for what reason are you staying here? Is it because you utterly think there is no way out? And there is no help to gain? Even if I knock on my neighbor's door, I will be faced with the exact same thing. Like, it will be the same thing here I will be faced with. Like a locked-in system of pressure. They think the same way. They are facing the same winter, It's right outside the door. There is no escape. There is no way out. So, if there is no way out, there is no escape, there is only one plan. Only one plan works. And you have to be very focused on it. One mistake means you're dead, right? It's like you are presented with, I feel like probably some of the things you've done when you stuck to that plan. When you stuck to that plan where you survived but also gave up your autonomy here. So you are utterly and totally in someone else's hands. You have no free will. You may not even know why surviving was that crucial to you. Like, you may have forgotten totally about this goal of yours or this responsibility. because you are now totally controlled by something else. And it keeps you engaged in this. It keeps you engaged in this debt, in this guilt feeling. And it wants you to stay there. Bad conscience, guilt feeling, shame, all kinds of stuff that can come up about the decision you made once where you crossed over. You turned into something else, you changed, and now you're trying to figure out if you can change back, if you can somehow change back. Can I somehow, if I look at this thing, it's right here in my hands. I look at this decision I made. Can I somehow make it disappear? Can I transmute it? Can it be easier to carry? Can I reduce it into powder and, blow it away? Is it possible to do that? And I think with shadow work, moon rituals, working with the moon, allowing the moon and the water of the moon to try to wash away something or cleanse it, purify it, like purifying your consciousness. And maybe, bad conscience, guilt, shame. I get even physical symptoms like nausea. It's like vomiting yourself out, vomiting this non-human out of you, This state that keeps you locked in some kind of, that if you could, you would vomit it out of you, right? So it's such agony. It's like you can't, it's like looking at yourself with utmost disgust. That you're disgusting, that what you've done is disgusting. It's such a big line that have been crossed. It's such a it's so disgusting that you if you could, you would vomit that part out of yourself. So you could actually be facing that you are disgusted by a part of yourself. That you disgust yourself, parts of yourself. That decision maker that decided to cross the line, that you're disgusted with that decision maker. But the decision maker could be your ego. It was serving you to protect you, to make you survive. But you could be, another part of you could be disgusted by that decision, that choice. And trying to, this is in the crown position, so this could be what you may be thinking about, how can I somehow live with myself? Or as I said, how can this be redeemed? How can I cleanse myself of this? Because it draws me down. It keeps me stuck in some kind of hellhole. It's like a hell loop that you just keep continuing your thought process, and the thought processes keep you locked into a particular state of thinking with shame and guilt and, remorse, disgust, things like that, self-hate, self-resentment, things like that. And it's in your awareness or in your thoughts that you want somehow to transmute this, change it, become this better person again, become human again, a human that can laugh, a human that can, think of more than just barely survival, that is able to sit in a conversation where you can laugh and just enjoy yourself and smile, where you can live again, not just barely surviving and hating yourself in the process. So I don't know what this is and how far back it goes. It could be a decision you had to make or something you did when you were a child. And then I want to say just the idea that you were a child is maybe enough. Like you were a child faced with an enormous kind of pressure. How should a child be able to sustain that? How should a child even know about, if it is very young, how should it even know about ideals? And it barely knew itself at that point. How should it sustain itself against violence or abuse or winter, as I said, a harsh, cold environment with no nurture in it, no sustenance? Like compassion for yourself. And knowing that the judgments of others may come from people who haven't tried the same as you. They have no way of knowing what they would have done if they were in a similar situation. It's easy for people who have never faced true danger to be have ideologies and ideals and all kinds of, you would say, like even human behavior. It's easy for a human nun to judge someone like those from the snow, from this film I talked about. If she has been a young girl who entered the monastery and have lived there all her life, she's never faced much fear or danger or war or anything, and she has been protected by the monastery walls. She lives her virtuous life here. It could be easy for someone like that to judge these survivors here. And she could say to herself, I would never do that. I would never abandon my faith. I would never walk away from my ideals and these principles. You are such a wrong person for doing that. But we don't know that, do we? We don't know if we took this nun and put her in these icy mountains. We don't know how she would react. Maybe she would pray to the end of her days and she would die because of her faith and not taking that bite. But what if she did? So it's easy for some people to judge others depending on what they have experienced in their lives. People who do not have Capricorn in their chart, or only have one placement and not a personal planet, an outer planet, or far away from the personal planets, I would say it has a less noisy voice, I want to say. If you don't have Capricorn at all, normally I say we do have Capricorn somewhere in our chart, but there can actually be people who do not have that. They may have an influence from a house or something, like the 10th house, but which is Capricorn. So they could have an influence from the 10th house, but it's not the same. They could actually go through life without, and never thinking about it. Like they have never been threatened to their core, to the bone. And they have also never experienced themselves slowly but surely dying, dimming down, bowing, eventually. Like this idea of abandoning yourself, abandoning this inner core of yours, these ideals we may have, or these I think it's difficult to uphold a love vibe in your heart if you are put in the icy mountains, like 30 degrees of frost. I don't know what it is in Fahrenheit, but that is extremely cold for a human body. So you see, there are people in this world who would judge, and there are people in this world who have done things because of survival, not because they wanted to, it was because of survival. And they're living with some kind of guilt. So there are those who judge you, and then you live with the guilt. The more, like, if you have not released this, you will have people pointing fingers at you for some reason. They may not know your exact secret, but they will point fingers. Because if this is not dealt with inside of you, you are somehow hating yourself for that decision. And you can attract haters. Like you can attract people who eventually criticize you, who point the fingers, correct you, and want you to change and become like them. Like they point the fingers at you. If this is not dealt with, you will have people that point fingers at you, criticize you, uphold pressure towards you, and so on. So it's a very good idea to look at this. Find a way to make it smaller. And of course, cry if you have to, scream if you have to, write it down, burn it, send it, ask for guidance and help from your helpers out there. Anything, whatever you feel like could help you. But one of the things is, I feel like, to embrace that you were in like a locked bubble where you couldn't get out. There was no escape. There was no way out. We could say, if we talk about water here, it could be something like, if you know you're little Nemo, right? And you're in the ocean, you will be quite aware that you are little Nemo, and this entire big ocean is supposed to be your home. This is the environment you're in as a fish, but you are quite little. And there are sharks here. There are all kinds of different fish, other fish also, that will eat you. You're not safe here. You will adapt to it. You will find places to hide. But you know, it will always lurk in the back of your mind. You cannot walk away. It's Nemo in the little aquarium ball inside a little boy's home or room is not the same as Nemo in the ocean. Nemo in the Aquarius bowl at home, where the little boy just pokes at the glass and talks to the fish and feeds it, this is not a problem. Like survival, in the sense of survival, is not a problem. Well, I don't know if it gets boring in there, but you know, in sense of survival and free self-expression, whatever way you want to flip yourself in the water, no problem. When in the ocean, well, probably more adventure, but definitely also more danger. And maybe the adventure is easily and immediately overridden by the dangers. So the escape of Nemo from the Aquarius ball, jumping out of it, jumping to the ocean, can be a devastating, fatal choice. He thinks that he's going to get adventure. He will have new friends out there. What he gets is danger, insecure, like unsafe environment. So all these things that he hoped for, all the things that he wished for, gets immediately overridden by his survival instincts and danger. This is everything he thinks about, every single day, every moment of every minute. This other thing is bonus, but you know, it's as long as this is here, I can't go to the next level. I can't. It's like I'm stuck in a evolutionary state. As long as I'm here and I'm so threatened, I can't enjoy myself. I can't find friends. I can't play, you know, I'm stuck. But I think whom I'm talking to here, they want to figure this out. They have become aware and they want to figure it out. They want to see if they can get out of this bubble. They feel, like maybe trapped in like a bubble. A watery moon bubble. Usually this can happen if you love people. You are attached to them. You love them. Then you can find yourself do all kinds of stuff. Even put yourself in great danger. And endure all kinds of abuse. Because you are attached to them. One of the things I would say could help you here is detachment. Detaching from them emotionally. And believe me, this can be a bit of a journey. It's not done overnight. Like if you truly love them, this is not done overnight. It means for you to detach, it means that you have to love yourself more than them. Again, there's no other, you have to love yourself more than them. You have to love yourself more to walk away here. It means that you have to choose yourself with everything in you, even the parts you hate or you're disgusted by. The self-loathing you may have against yourself, that you embrace that more. You want to examine it, heal it, understand it, face it, honor it. Honor the journey you have been on, honoring your heart in this perhaps. What kind of journey has your heart gone through? This is not something done overnight. For some reason, I felt like I took it. It's like here. It's like there is a. It's almost like I tried to do it with my finger here. I don't know if you can see it. It looks a little bit like there's supposed to be another card. That's what I saw when I started the reading. That's why I took this card, and I wanted to place it exactly here, right? It feels a little bit like almost, as I said, like this other path. It's like from being in a position where you feel like there's no way out. It's like you are given a choice to face something, to look at something. And this could be it. Like this is this other thing. The sun. And so interesting, I said Nemo in an Aquarius ball at home with in the little boy's room, This is like, and I actually want to say it's like retrieve from the big ocean. Nemo, get out of the ocean. Jump right back into your little Aquarius ball here with Christopher, the little boy in his room. He will adore you, right? He won't kill you. He will like you. He loves you. He speaks to you every day and he feeds you. And, he may take you into the garden and you can swim around here in your little Aquarius ball here. Little glass ball of water, Get out, get into the sun, get to the warmth, get somewhere safe. The sun is the most happy card in the deck. It's Leo energy. It's abundance. It's a place of abundance and warmth and the most you could say, I talked about that wintertime, cold, harsh places are not good for human bodies. This would be a place where human bodies thrive. Everything is available here for a human body to thrive. We don't talk about survival. We don't even talk about survival here. We are way beyond that. Like, survival is certain here. Therefore, we go to the next step, right? We go to the next step of enjoying ourselves, feeling pleasure, relaxing, trusting. We play, we laugh, we engage with others. It's easy, it's comfortable, it's safe. There's plenty of food, plenty of drink, plenty of warmth, plenty of outdoor, beautiful play activities. There's fashion, there's expression, there's a lot of other stuff. It's like if you look at Maslow's this pyramid, this needs pyramid or desire pyramid, we have at the bottom there are these very basic needs, primal survival needs, that have to be met before you can actually look at the next stage. So when they are intact, you can look at the next stage. When they are intact, you can look at the next one. But you can't, if your basic needs are not met, you can't really live on the third level or on the third stage. It will be false then. It's a false. It will be a mask. It's not real. It's not attained in a real way. You don't own it. It's not authentic. If you have problems in let's say the root chakra, which is about grounding, roots, it can be safe, solid, good roots, or it can be very disturbing, volatile, rotten roots, right? Try to find better roots here. Try to find places that nurture you, where there is warmth, and you can express yourself. There is a safety here, where when you get to that point of feeling that safe, you can actually start to express yourself. So this is about a new choice. Walk away here to find new ways where you can live in safety. Maybe you need to create this for yourself. Maybe you need to, get another home. Maybe, as I said, you want to move from Greenland, a frosty, cold place, to, India, right? Where there is a lot of sun here. Maybe you need, maybe we are not talking about a physical environment. We talk about, again, water here. It could be an emotional environment that has been very cold and harsh and non-supportive, even directly threatening your life, So there could be threats here. In many expressions of threats, maybe feeling threatened and unsafe in some way, financially, socially, emotionally. Again, afraid of, being stigmatized or something. And you need to get to an environment where there could be more understanding. People understand, compassion. They would actually want you to succeed. They want you to get to you would say, the next level. They want you to develop. They want you to evolve. They want to see you thrive. They like this could be, you know, maybe you choose to go to therapy, right? And this therapist is their whole work is about helping other people thrive or having a better life, having a better, you know, better life circumstance in getting out of abuse or trouble, right? Like this could be someone who wants to like look for environments or people or circumstances here. This could even be, you know, like neighborhoods. Like if you have been growing up in neighborhoods with gang crime or something like that, this could be a totally different. Maybe you move to the countryside. It's more peaceful here. There is no gang crime. There's no, and well, yeah, maybe you're far away from your work, or maybe you're far away from other kinds of responsibilities that you may have felt you should engage in. But you can actually grow here. You are safe here. It's an environment that embraces you. I think it's very important. Let's say that let's say if you've been an addict for many years, you've been living on the street. Maybe you've even gotten to a point where you have prostituted yourself, needing the cash for the addiction is your Capricorn pressure, right? You made a choice once. You tried cocaine for the first time or heroin, and you got immediately addicted to it. The choices you've made after that choice is like setting the scene for your life. Maybe you know, for a long time, maybe you were a thief. You stole to get money, to get your your drug. Maybe it has gotten to a point, you know, you prostituted yourself. You would do whatever you could because the drug's effect on you was so massive. You had no free will in it, actually. You were directed by your addiction. But you see, if someone is getting to a rehab facility, like this environment is crucial for whether someone would choose to get out of their addiction. Like the addiction's voice, the drug's voice in your head becomes secondary because something else is here. You get a taste of a different life. You get a taste of, like, you could actually enjoy yourself. You could be free also. It's a feeling of freedom. Being free of whatever reins or like ropes or, you know, that have kept you in some position. It's a feeling of freeing yourself here. But in order to free yourself, you may face the choice you made, this crucial choice once. That after you made that choice, it's like you couldn't go back. You had to just go along. As I said, like how the drug changed you. You know? How it suddenly directed your life. You ended up in the street. You were abandoned by your family. They wouldn't have anything to do with you. You were all on your own. You were totally and utterly controlled by the drug and your addictions, the highs. There was no way out. You saw no way out of it. You were trapped, right? It's that feeling. So you can put it in whatever kind of situations you were in. I know myself, for instance, I have been going through what I call a love addiction, a trauma bond that was created when I was very young. this has been very difficult. First of all, I had no awareness. I've been living most of my life not knowing about this. I just acted in certain ways, and I knew I was miserable, but I didn't know why. I had no, clear consciousness about the root of it. I had no idea. I didn't know I was highly codependent. I didn't know that my free will was stripped of me. I had no idea. I was addicted. I was in an addiction, a love addiction, if we use the water here as an example. It could be anything, but I'm just saying this is something I had no idea it even existed, that it was a thing, that people could get addicted through their emotions towards each other. I had no idea. This is something I faced like many years ago. I figured this out, that maybe I actually was in something like that. I was somehow like that. And I have considered myself to be a fairly logical, reasonable woman in my life. I never thought that I was stupid or that I was like controlled inside. I had no awareness, but I was utterly and deeply and unconsciously addicted. And it was a bit of a shock, and there was a lot of emotional processing to go through to figure this out. So I'm saying, whatever this is, this choice that was made once, like it could be, as I think what happened to me was, as a child, we say that children really don't have a choice. They have to trust their parents. Like they have to engage with them. But if a child chooses to do that, they have to, they are dependent for their primal safety and survival and everything. They are programmed, they are designed to attach to their parents. I attached to my parents, but my parents were not good parents in that sense. I had an environment with primary needs, but no emotional support. No real emotional understanding of who I am and what I need to thrive, right? So I wasn't nurtured in that way. My emotional needs were not saturated, you could say. So I became addicted. I got some attention from time to time. This is what we call intermittent reinforcement. It's one of the most addictive things to use. Whatever it's marketing campaigns or whatever, it's highly addictive. And for a little human brain, I had no idea what was going on. I got sucked into this involuntarily. I had no idea. I had to attach to my parents. It was a deeply embedded instinctual choice, and it has then, you could say, painted the picture of my future. The way I got attached to them, what I've received, what I got used to, what became familiar, now became like the plan for me. So I got older, I got to school, I behaved in the same way as I would at home. Like the people I got involved in, it all just recreated the same kind of pattern. You fall in love, you have a crush as a teenager, it's the same pattern. It just keeps going. but I had no idea. And I'm very much aware that my parents probably also didn't have a good childhood. And their parents probably also did not have a nice, safe, good, loving environment they grew up in. It was during the war, First and Second World War. Of course, there's trauma there. Everybody grows up with some kind of trauma. I'm just saying, Capricorn, you have faced something very special. Something very harsh. It's always there with Capricorn, I feel like. So what I feel like is happening here, I get a feeling of someone wanting to change it. Like they want to take their power back somehow. They want it back. This integrity, their autonomy, or their free will, their free choice. It's like they want to get it back here. They want to be able to move to the next stage. The next, where you can actually smile, where you can thrive, where you can laugh, where you can tease each other, right? Where you trust, right? And it is asking something particular, right? It's asking you to face some of your worst nightmare here, or some of the worst winter you have ever been in. Or some particular decision that you've made. And after you made that decision, everything in your life changed. And you saw yourself almost become like a puppet. And there is a puppeteer that is now directing you. Like I said, the drug becomes the puppeteer. And you just find yourself being the puppet. Like you have no free say in something. That something else took over, something else is now the voice that governs everything. But I see someone wanting to take that back, trying to figure out how to claim their power back, how to get back in charge, take leadership back, right? That's what I feel like. Can I get one more card on this 8 of Cups here, please? So I get the cycle here. The cycle and all these hands kind of tell me, I feel like it shows you something about I feel like all these hands here, they kind of represents the cups that are down here. I get something like, that's why I just paused for a bit. I just had to listen. It comes across almost like an order. And now I get like a reference, what was that? Well, yeah, I get something like, I hear Masons. I hear, I get a reference to a film, a series called Timeless, which talks about time traveling, and that there is a sense of an organization that governs almost like the entire world, that are in leadership positions. And I get Illuminati, there's something governing again, this feeling of like a bigger voice that has a sense of power, that is in an extreme power position. And it has, like it has tentacles in everywhere. Like there's tangibles in everywhere. So no matter where you go, it's like you meet these tentacles, right? The feeling that no matter where you go, you will feel the touch of something, that something is like a higher order of intelligence that is governing you, directing you and governing you, and you have no say in it. Like you are the pawn and you're facing this giant emperor. And they can direct your entire life. That's what this feels like. It's like you are looking. It could be the feeling that you're realizing what you have been in, and you want to walk away from it, but it has this grip on you. Like there are all these hands that hold you somehow. Like you are in a cycle. You are in a it's you are in something that has a boundary, and you can't seem to get out of it. It could be the feeling of being inside a cult and you can't get out. Like there is this, does that make sense? That kind of feeling, like you are grabbed and trapped by something and you can't really escape it. Like something holds maybe a bigger kind of wisdom. Again, as I said, it's like if you don't know that, let's say, you live in Greenland, right? There is this enormous amount of snow and ice and everything everywhere. And you are never taught, you never go to school, you are never taught that there are places on the earth where the sun shines. It means that you are kept in a less knowledgeable state on purpose. That something else here knows. It knows. It has more knowledge. It's wiser than you. It's bigger than you. It has life experience. It has read the books. It has gone to school. But you are kept in an uninformed state. Does that make sense? And if you are in an uninformed state, how should you make wise decisions then? You can only make decisions of what you know, what you have access to, what kind of information you have access to. You can't really make well-informed decisions if you are kept small in that way, if you are kept childish almost, or childlike, immature in that way. You were only given maybe access to certain information, but you were never, you didn't have the full spectrum. It's almost like a very narrowed vision, like a very narrowed vision, and something is coming in here that is broadening everything up. Like it gives you a different kind of flashlight, right? You were given a flashlight where you can only see 2 feet ahead. Now it's like you're given a flashlight that shows everything around you. The sun is shining. The sun is, that's interesting also here. Like when the sun is shining, you can see everything around you clearly, right? But when you only have moonlight here to guide you, everything seems a bit dark, and you can't, it may seem even dangerous. It seems uncertain, and maybe we don't take the choice. If I can only see 2 steps ahead, how can I make a good plan then to go through the forest? Every time I make 2 steps, I can see 2 steps again, but it's not enough, right? I feel the lurking danger, but I cannot see it, right? I don't know if I'm safe here. But with this sunlight, it's like you can see everything clearly, right? There are no, again, here you have awareness. Here you are given knowledge. Here you have chosen a path also. You have chosen a place to stay, a new country perhaps, or a new job or something. Because you are well informed here. Things have been shared. You have made a well-chosen choice, an intelligent choice based on the knowledge you now have. Because you have been more informed, you know more, you can now make a different choice. A choice you wouldn't have made here. You would not have been able to make it here because you didn't know. You had no idea. As I said, in my case, it was like when I realized at some point that the relationship I've had with my family all my life is a hoax. It's based on, you could say, narcissistic tendencies. But first of all, it was a shock to me because it's covert, very covert, hidden, covert between the lines, things like that. I couldn't see it. I have taken business degrees. I'm not a stupid woman. But it's like, when this happened to me, this feeling that there's this, as I said, here, like here you don't know, here something is, where is it? Now it's not showing up. Maybe it's because I've said it. But the flare that came in, when that flare came in, like a light bulb moment, like an epiphany that came in, I actually didn't want that message. It was like I didn't like it because if I should go towards it and examine it further, I had this awareness that I'm not going to like this. And if I just stay where I am, at least it was familiar. At least I knew what I was doing. Maybe I was wearing a mask, but for some reason I have somehow managed to stay there. Now I was walking towards this new knowledge. I allowed it to guide me, and what I found was disturbing. But at the same time, today I wouldn't want to be without that knowledge. It's like I was given a flashlight. I could look a little bit further and see other things happening. More things revealed itself. And the more that revealed itself, the more terrible it felt. But at the same time, I wouldn't have wanted it not to come in. Even though it has been quite a journey to figure this out and find ways of forgiving this and releasing it. But I am saying that there is a light at the end of this tunnel, right? But one of the ways of getting to that light is by you changing behavior, you making new choices, even though you don't know where you're going, because that's what I felt like. I had no idea where I was going. It was very frightening. Being highly codependent, to free myself it's a difficult process. Because when you are codependent, you are actually inside, you're very frightened. You are afraid. You don't trust much in yourself. So to separate from a source of strength that I was relying on also made me realize how frightened I was. How terrifying it was to stand on my own 2 feet. Could I even stand on my own 2 feet? Would I be able to make it, But it's the first step you make towards your autonomy. Like, it's the first step you make towards, just even, maybe you haven't left yet, you're just thinking about it. It's the first step to choose yourself and accept to go through a journey of realizing stuff and eventually getting to a point where you know yourself inside out. You have accepted everything about yourself, also the really bad choices, and you can make new choices now. Because nothing has power over you. You have freed yourself. This is freedom. So again, I'm saying for Capricorn, to get to a point of like true authenticity and autonomy and integrity, you have to go through here. I said, what was that? Was it Scorpio? Sagittarius, Scorpio? I said something like, I think it was Scorpio actually. I said something like, and you could go back and look at that reading perhaps if you want to. I said something like humanity here on Earth is in an evolutionary state. And outside, telepathic, big source energy could easily wipe our memory. Like, that would be easy, to wipe the memory of every person on Earth. It means that everything we know about our past, everything we know about our history and our parents' history and history in general, all the wars that have been fought and all the things that have happened in history, that everything would be totally wiped away. So it means that from one day to another you wake up and you have no memory of the past. That would be easily done. That would be easy. That's the message I got. That we can wipe the memory of all humans here in an instant like that. So it means that then all humans would be blank slates. How would we act then? What would we do? Like, we would probably not quite know what to do with ourselves. And the message I got was it would be something like we would start over again, like infantiles. We would start over and have these really like naive ways of interacting. Eventually we would grow older. Eventually we would get to the state we are in now. But you see, we haven't learned anything. We haven't learned anything. wiping my memory of the past wouldn't make me wiser. It's like I would just repeat it all over again. If I stay in the same environment, it would just repeat itself all over. No, I have to get to a stage where I'm realizing something is wrong. Then I may be able to make a new choice. Otherwise, I would just repeat. It would just be a repetitive story like, okay, humanity 1.0, let's see what happens. And then, oh no, this is not really I don't like this development. Okay, we clean the slate, we wipe their memory, and then we see what happens. Humanity 2.0. But if they are still in the same evolutionary state, they haven't realized something new, they would repeat the same pattern again and again and again. If you allow them to get more information, they would be able to take the evolutionary state to the next level and leave old patterns behind. But it's only if they are informed, right? If they know something new. They're given a way out. There are other ways. What if? What if you could dream? What if there were other options? You need to be able to be informed and take in the information given or offered. Then you can get to a new information state and you can make new choices. If you stay in an evolutionary state, a state of development, and you never open another book, you never hear or take in new information, or you don't listen to your intuitive downloads or epiphanies, you ignore them, you will stay the same. You will repeat the same patterns. How should you be able to make new choices if you are not more broadly informed of what you are capable of, or that you could change your circumstances? This is how I think that the church has kept people in a submissive state. That as long as they could keep sending out a certain message, and people didn't know, they were analphabets. They didn't know how to read. They had no way of educating themselves. They trusted in what they were told. Like a child trusts their parents, what they are told. They have no other way. How should they be more informed? How should a child be more informed? But you need more information to start to even separate your opinion from your parents, to get a more broader view of the world. You need information. You need to know something more, otherwise you stay in the exact same thing, in the exact same state. That's why wiping the memory doesn't really change anything. If you are still given the same circumstances, the next day you still wake up in the same bed. You are still living in the same house. It's still the same garden. It's still the same environment, or it's still the same streets. You don't evolve unless new voices come in and maybe change the entire scenario. Let's say your parents were speaking to you with a different voice. let's say that they are not just telling you that there's only one way forward. You actually have 4 possible choices. Which one do you choose? But if you have, like been mind controlled, or like you have your way forward had been narrowed in to like a very like narrowed into like a one, that there's only one right way, only one true virtuous way or something, then but you are never shown the others, and all you feel is a pressure that if you're not choosing this one, you will die. You choose to listen to them. But what I feel like here is like something is coming in and it's showing you another way. But it may be, it's not going to be easy. You are called, you hear the call towards something. It's not necessarily going to be easy. It's shadowy here and it's watery. It may be a shock that you're realizing. You are again facing your own choices in the environment you have been in, living with your decisions, figuring out how to transform it, and it's not necessarily going to be an easy ride. But there is something to be gained here. There is something to, I want to say, work for or to commit to. This is a journey about committing to yourself, even though there is this enormous pressure, even though there is this threat. It's about being brave and freeing yourself. Become Nemo here in the Aquarius glass ball in Christopher's room, right? Because he adores you and he feeds you every day and he takes care of you and he takes you into the garden where you can look at the flowers and, well, maybe you even get a friend. Maybe he will buy you a Nemo friend, right? But it will be a safe place. You will not be threatened there. It's not again, the adventure of being out in the ocean can easily and immediately be overridden by the danger. So this is what I feel like is here. I think Capricorns are faced with something. Not just me, but Capricorn in general. Maybe faced with something. Please have a look at this guy, Adam Allen Bash, if you're interested in astrology. Look up your zodiac sign and maybe have a look at the new one he made that is called Saturn is Dying. Because it means that I feel like the grab on you becomes too big, so you have to leave, right? And that's why the grip that has been holding you is no longer, it doesn't have the same force. That's why when I hear Saturn is dying, it's like what had this tremendous force on you doesn't have the same force anymore. It's, it's like, a big strong father who was shaking you as a child is now an elderly man walking with a stick, he can't grab you anymore. He doesn't have the same kind of power over you. You are actually a full-grown adult man now. He has no power over you, you know? That feeling like something that seemed to be overly aggressive is now an old man, you know? It doesn't have the same, it has loosened its dominance over you. It knows that it doesn't have the same power anymore. And you have grown, right? You're not a little child anymore. You are not obliged to stay with them. You are grown up now. You can walk out of the door. You can go somewhere else. You have adult rights, whereas a child is utterly dependent on their caretakers. So it's something like that. You get my point, of course, of this. Either it resonates or it don't, but maybe, you know, there's this feeling of a sigh, you know, like this, like you can relax in some way. Maybe you have overcome something. Maybe you have that you are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe this is the sigh that there is actually an end to the tunnel. There is a saying no. There is a finish. There is an end zone, or there is a shift, right? There is an exit door out of this. And when you get to that exit door, it's like a freedom. It's like a free, a freer feeling. Even though, you know, you could still feel a bit, am I able to do this, and so on. But, or it has this awkwardness to it. As I said, like if this is too jolly, you know, from where you come from, it feels like it may be too far away, but it's like it is possible. So you are offered you're offered something that you have never been given before. Before, there was only one path. Before, there was no way out. There are no open windows or open doors here. It's sealed. It's a sealed deal, where here it's like you are offered a potential to. And it's also interesting how I say this is a sealed deal, like a fortress of water here that keeps you in a certain position. But then look at what she's bathing in. It's almost like she can bathe easily and swim easily in her own trauma. What used to be muddy water is now purified. It's a bit like when I talk about some of the things that have happened to me, some of the things that I've gone through, you don't hear me crying. You don't hear me become very emotional about it, because I have dealt with it. I can speak about it. I can share it. I don't feel guilt. I don't feel a bad conscience or shame about it. I don't feel that I'm a bad person because of some of the choices I've made. I don't feel that I'm stupid because I didn't know when I was a child. I have embraced this. So I can walk around in this without feeling any kind of shame. There's full spotlight on it. I know every corner of it. She knows every corner of it. There's nothing to be afraid of, or nothing to worry about, or nothing to you will have the autonomy and the integrity to carry this, to be this, to own it, to stand in it. That is what I feel like. That something that may have been the deepest, darkest secret. Something where I feel like, as I say, it's almost like you would vomit it out of you if you could. That choice that was here, or that circumstance, or that pressure that made you stand here, if you could vomit that up and release it, you would, right? Because there's so much. It's it's an involuntary thing. Like, you were pressured to do this. It's not something you voluntarily chose. And it goes against every principle you had. But there is this, when someone stands like this, it's like they own it. They can speak about it freely. They can share it. They have gone through it. They have looked at all the shadow aspects, all the fears of saying this out loud, even sharing it. They are aware that some people may judge them, but they are not judging themselves, and that is the exact thing about this. You have an opportunity to get to a point where you no longer judge yourself for the choice you made at that time, this particular crucial choice. And maybe a very uninformed choice. Have that in mind as well, right? And when you get to that point, all these fingers that may point at you, all those that would criticize you or keep you in check or keep you, like sealed with something, like a contract you can't get out of, a sealed contract. Eventually, it no longer can hold you. Like, it can no longer hold the light that you may have, the purity or the love you may hold here. It can no longer sustain itself. And that's what I feel like is happening with Saturn. It can no longer sustain the pressure. So third dimensional volatile and abusive energy can no longer sustain itself. It becomes weaker and weaker and weaker when we move towards the fifth dimension. And Capricorn, I believe in particular, you may feel that. Like it could be the feeling that a part of you is weakening. Like a part of you is losing strength. A part of you, a voice in you is no longer as domineering. Or you can actually negotiate with it now. You can settle it. You can retire it even. You can say goodbye to it. You can walk totally away from it. It no longer has the same dictatorship over you. And then it's interesting to see what you're going to do with that freedom. Can you handle your freedom? Do you know what that is? Do you even, I think you need to adapt to it. And also become aware not to go back. Because, as I said, it could be an addiction. Even an adrenaline addiction. Some can become addicted to trauma. Some can become addicted to negative feelings. Become aware that you don't flip back. And if you flip back, make sure you flip to the other side quickly again. That you choose this more, right? That you choose that I want to be able to bathe in this. Like whatever I have been going through here could even become your work. That you become maybe a counselor here for someone who's going through something similar, or a therapist, or you write a book about it or something. You want to shine light on it, perhaps. This has to come into the open. This must be said, communicated. Other people have to know, because you were the one who were maybe not informed once. You don't want people to be uninformed. You want them to know that there is another way. There are other ways out. That's why you want to be able to walk in it, bathe in it, thrive in it. You want to be able to own it, stand right in it. You have faced every corner. You have cleansed your water here. You don't bathe in muddy water. You're not afraid of it either. Nothing holds you stuck here. If you're in it, you decide to be in it, and it's because you want to clarify. You want to tell the world about it. You want to share it with the world. And you don't care if people point fingers. You will know that there are also others who will embrace you, because they are in that as well. They are in that as well. So who cares about someone pointing fingers? Let them point. They have not been in the same place where I've been. They have not breathed that toxic air. They have not felt the pain every time I got beaten, you know. They don't know what it means to submit your will involuntarily. It's like a hostile takeover. Something you never agreed to, something you never thought about. You never thought that it would become like that. Only people who resonate with that understand. This is what I have for you, Capricorn. I hope this helped in some way. Love yourself. Choose yourself. Maybe it will be a tough ride here, but like you will be so much stronger here. This is Leo energy, right? You will become I want to say unbeatable here. If you can work through this and get your power back, take it back, choose yourself. Maybe that's the reason why you had to survive, why you made that choice in the first place, this crucial choice. It's because deep down you want to choose yourself. And you take that power back. You release yourself from people and circumstances that are not in your favor, that doesn't support you. And you forgive yourself for one or several bad choices you've made that painted a story for you, an ugly story, and you forgive yourself. And eventually you will be here. There's a lot to gain, but it could be the feeling that you have been through, that you have been kind of locked in, sealed in this tunnel, and you were wondering if there is a way out. And yes, there is a way out. Will it ever stop, And yes, it will. It is coming. But, you have to make choices too. Like you have to choose it. As I say, The devil will try to call you back into addiction. It will call you back here. It takes a choice not to fall into the negative emotions and let that become your thought pattern, that you're not getting stuck there. It takes a choice to choose yourself with such devotion that now becomes the driver of getting out. Yeah, this is what I have. I hope this helped, Capricorn. Take care of yourself, trust yourself, love yourself. Know that you are a beautiful divine being, having a human experience. Let that light shine off you, trust it, believe in it, and walk away from everything that is not serving you, is not helping you, is unkind. Walk away. Yeah. Of course, I send you from the bottom of my heart love and light. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.